Playoffs start in a few hours, and we're here to give you our NHL Stanley Cup first round playoff predictions. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video where we give you 2 value bets on who's going to become the next Stanley Cup champion of 2021. And it all starts right now. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. It's Matt from Grandstand Bettors. If you're as excited as we are about the Stanley Cup playoffs, hit that like button, smash that like button. The Stanley Cup playoffs are by far, in our opinion, the best playoffs in all of sports. So without further ado, let's dive in to the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And we are going to start with today. Saturday, May 15th, the Boston Bruins take on the Washington Capitals. Now, in all of the playoffs, all these teams know each other very well as they all played each other about 8 or 9 times. The Capitals and the Bruins, they played each other 8 times. The Bruins won 4-2-2 in the series. But the Capitals are the better team. They're the 2 seed here. The Bruins are the 3. A nice little storyline. Zdeno Chara now plays for the Capitals, so that'll be interesting to watch in the 7-game series. The thing I'm concerned about the Capitals is some injuries. Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie all had injuries last week. And Kuznetsov is on the COVID list still. So if those guys can't go, it is going to be an interesting series. Game 1 may shift to the Bruins here. We'll see what happens as the series progresses. The key to winning for the Capitals is they have to stop Martian. He had a hot April. He's been on fire. And the one thing they do have going for them, if the injuries don't affect the Capitals, is their power play unit. They are very dynamic on the power play, a very good team in scoring goals and converting penalties into goals against for the other team. Now, the goalie for the Capitals is Vanacek. He's a rookie. He's had an unbelievable season. This will be his first Stanley Cup playoffs, so that is another storyline to look at. If he does have trouble early, they might pull him quickly. On the other side, the Bruins, now, they have probably one of the best defenses in the entire league in goaltending. They only give up about 2.39 goals per game. It's the 4th lowest in all of the NHL. They will go with Tuukka Rask. He is the veteran on the team. If he does have some issues, if he's given up some goals, expect them to make a quick transition to Jeremy Swayman, who had a great season with the Bruins. Now, this is going to be a very low-scoring, probably matchup, in my opinion. If it's high-scoring, the Capitals win very easily, maybe in 4 games. But I think it's going to be like 3-2 games, 2-1 games for the entire series. I do like the Capitals here. I do think they have the more potent offense. So we're going to take the Capitals in this series in 6 games. Moving on to the Metropolitan Division, still the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders, they are the other 2 teams. The Pittsburgh Penguins are number 1. The Islanders were number 4 in this division. Now, I'm a Penguins fan. I'm going to be a little biased here, but I'll try not to be. They're probably the best team in what you would consider the East this year. I will say this, they're probably the most surprising team to finish where they did. The Penguins, even myself included, thought they would barely sneak into the playoffs. If you remember way back at the beginning of the season, they were looking on the outside in the 9th, 10th position, and really of late have come on strong. This season against the Islanders, they're 6-2. Crosby has been phenomenal, but if you remember a couple years ago, the Islanders swept the Penguins 4-0 in the first round of the playoffs, and they held Crosby to nothing. Now, the Penguins really live and die by Tristan Jarry. He's been 14-2-2 in the last 18 games. If he is on, they're a tough team to beat. And they had a great new acquisition with Jeff Carter coming over for the Kings. This guy is a defensive player that can score goals. He just had a hat trick a couple of weeks ago. Now, the Islanders, on the other hand, have one of the best goalies in the entire league, Varlamov. He is probably going to win the best goalie of the league. Now, the other offensive person that is going to go against Crosby that we should worry about, or the Pens should worry about, is Barzal. Barzal versus Crosby is going to be an intriguing matchup. Barzal had 45 points on the season. And when the Islanders score first, they are 26-2-2 on the season. So if Pittsburgh wants to stick with the Islanders, they're going to have to score first. Or if they let the Islanders score first, they're going to have to come right back and match them. So it's going to be a tough series. I'm going to be honest. For a 1-4 seed, you would think it would be maybe 4, 5, or 6 games. No, we're going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins here, and we're going to take them in 7 games. I think it's going to be a hard-fought series. Varlamov and Tristan Jarry, that is going to be your difference makers in this series. So Pittsburgh in 7 games to take that series. We move on into a great series between the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. Minnesota is 5-1-2 against the Knights on the season. Even though they're the 3 seed and Vegas is the 2 here, Minnesota has a quick strike offense led by rookie Kaprizov. This guy had 51 points on the year. They also have an explosive power play unit. This is a team you don't want to give penalties to because they will take advantage of their power play, and they can put 1, 2, 3 goals in very quickly, and all of a sudden the game is out of control. The one weak spot I think that the Wild have here is Cam Talbot, their goalie. He was 19-8-5 on the year, 2.63 goals against average. But when you think of Stanley Cup winners, when you think of how goalies have carried teams throughout the playoffs, Cam Talbot's name does not come to mind, and I think the Golden Knights could take advantage of this. Now, their goalie is going to be Marc-Andre Fleury. If you remember, last year, he started the playoffs, and Robin Lehner took the job from him. This season, he is going to start the playoffs, but if he falters, look for Robin Lehner to go in between the pipes very quickly. Fleury, though, 26-10-0 in his last 36 games with a 1.98 goal average against them. Now, they're getting Max Pacioretty back and Ryan Reeves. They have had some injuries. Reeves actually been out for 16 games. We'll see how that mixes into the series. If they can't go in the first game, look for Minnesota. Maybe they take advantage of the physicality that Ryan Reeves brings to the game. But I think Ryan Reeves, if he is in, is going to be hard-hitting. The only thing with him is he does give up penalties. And as we just mentioned, the Minnesota Wild will take advantage of that. Here's the thing that worries me about the Vegas Knights. They've never won in regulation at Minnesota in their entire franchise history. Now, it's only been 4 years, but it's still worrisome for me. I'm going to take a little bit of an upset here. We're going to go with the Minnesota Wild in 7 games. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. Look for games to be 3-4, 5-2, something like that. I think it's going to be a great series, a fun series, entertaining series to watch. 7 games. Minnesota takes the win here. Looking at our next matchup, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Florida Panthers. And all I have to say here is you need to set your calendars for this matchup because this matchup is going to be hard-hitting, penalties galore, physical games. In all 8 games that these two teams played, there was an average of 42 minutes of penalties per game. Now, Florida, on the other hand, 5-2-1 against the Lightning. They have been the better team. To win this series, Florida needs to limit Tampa Bay's scores. Stamkos, Point, Palat, Kucherov. These guys can score, and they can score at will. So if they can hold those guys to very few points in the series, look for the Panthers to be the better team. Borowski in goal, 19-8-2 on the season, 2.91. That scares me a little bit, but they have the offense to back up a goalie that's not great. They led the Central in goals with 3.36 and shots on goal, 34.9 per game. Vasilevsky, on the other hand, he has been dynamite. 35 wins, 2 shutouts, and 4 in 42 games this season. Now, I do like Florida to take this. I like it in 7 games. I think that in 7 games, Florida can withstand the offense that Tampa Bay brings to the table. So, Florida Panthers, 7 games. Look for them to advance. We move on to probably one of the least exciting series here in the NHL playoffs, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's Nashville, the 4 seed, taking on Carolina, the 1 seed. Now, Carolina has won its first division title since 2006. They are 6-2 against Nashville this season. Against Nashville, they're scoring 36% on the power play. Aho, Niederreiter, these guys, they pressure you. They defensively turn into offense possessions. These guys can really do a great job in scoring, and scoring from the defensive standpoint. on the ice. Now, Mrazek missed 31 games. He probably will get the nod to start this series. I am worried about him. He hasn't played much in the season. We'll see how it goes, but he is a decent goaltender. Is he a goaltender to take him far into the playoffs? I don't know. We'll see. On the other side, Nashville, their only hope in this matchup is Saros. He's 16-6-1 over the last 18, since March 18th. He's only given up 1.91 goals against in that time being. It's a great story. He's come on late. Nashville started the season really awful and have kind of snuck into the playoffs, playing some good hockey. They don't score at all. Nashville's one of the most boring teams to watch. That's why the series probably will be the less viewed of all 8 series in the first round. They've only scored 151 goals on the season, but Philip Forsberg is back, and his offense does bring a lot to Nashville. So, Carolina, the number 1 seed, we don't think they're going to falter against Nashville. Nashville just doesn't score enough, doesn't put enough pressure on a team. So we like Carolina, and we like them in 6 games. That does start on Monday as these series continue to be spread out because of all of the COVID cases delaying games within the regular season, and the regular season kind of ending actually on the 19th. So this game starts Monday. Look for Carolina to win against Nashville in 6 games. Moving on, another fun series, maybe, if St. Louis can get some offense going. That's the St. Louis Blues, the 4 seed, taking on the Colorado Avalanche, the number 1 seed. Listen, the bookmakers have made Colorado Avs the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. Now, they are 5-3 against St. Louis in the 8 games that they played. That's not great over the season. Now, McKinnon missed the last 2 games with an injury for Colorado. That's something that we need to look for. He is a big piece of their offense, and if he's missing, St. Louis may take advantage of that. Grubauer, 35-9-1 with a 1.95 goals against average. Again, competing for best probably NHL goalie of the season. The thing about Colorado is they take their defensive players and use them on the offense more than anybody else in the NHL. Makar, Girard, Taus, 100 points between the 3 of them on the season. So if Colorado's defensive unit there is scoring goals, getting points, that's going to be a problem for St. Louis. Now, what can St. Louis counter with? Well, they have a guy named Binnington who was a hero a couple years ago in 2019 as he led them to a Stanley Cup championship. Last year, though, in the playoffs, 0-5 with 4.79 goals against average. And this year, he hasn't been great, 18-14-8 with a 2.65. That's all right, much better than that 4.79. The thing that's going to be on the lookout for the Blues is they need to score some goals. Perron and Schwartz, they need to work well on the power play together. They need to play out of their minds, in all honesty. Schwartz is a little injured. We'll see if he's 100% as the series starts. But really, for St. Louis to win this series, they're going to need luck, and they're going to have to play that underdog role and hope for a couple lucky bounces with the puck. But we like Colorado here. This also starts on Monday. But Colorado in 6, to be honest, it could be 4 or 5 if St. Louis starts to just feel like they have no chance in the series. Moving on to the next series, series number 7, we're looking at the Winnipeg Jets, the number 3 seed, taking on the Edmonton Oilers, the number 2 seed. This is going to be a high-scoring series. Both these teams know how to score. The issue with Edmonton is their depth. Everybody knows they have Draisaitl and McDavid, but who else do they have? Yeah, they have Nugent Hopkins and they have Nurse. But other than that, I think their depth is what keeps them from moving far into Stanley Cup playoffs each year. Now, with that said, they were 7-2 against the Jets. They were very good. They outscored them 34-22 in those 9 games. My whole issue with the Edmonton Oilers is their goalie, Mike Smith. Now, he's 4-0 against the Jets. I'm not worried about this series. My head is thinking farther into the future. Is Mike Smith a goalie that can take the Edmonton Oilers very far into the playoffs? I just don't think he is. But with this series, I think he can win. And he's proven that in the regular season, going 4-0 with a 2.09 against. So the Jets, however, their only hope, kind of like St. Louis, is their goaltender. Connor Hellebuyck is the best chance they have Also, they need to limit power play opportunities. That's where Edmonton scores a ton of their goals. Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, and Nurse, those guys know how to score on the power play, and they can do it in a hurry. Now, Scheifele and Ehlers, those are two offensive players that the Jets need to also put up points to give them a shot. Ehlers has been injured. He might be coming back, so that's somebody to look out for. If he's not 100%, I think it could be a sweep, but we'll see. Edmonton, I like them in 5 games. It's probably the most exciting games when it comes to goals, but the least exciting in stretch of series. It's only going to go 5 games at the most. And last but not least, the Montreal Canadiens are taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is a 1-4 matchup. Toronto winning the North Division here. I got to tell you right now, Toronto has all the pressure on them. They have not won a playoff series in 15 years. They are 7-2-1 against the Canadiens. This series doesn't worry me too much. Frederik Andersen has had injury problems the whole year. Jack Campbell, 17-2-2 this year. He's been good. I think they'll give the nod to Campbell in this series. If he starts to falter, though, Frederik Andersen is a staple name goaltender in the NHL. They will go to him if Campbell is not doing his job. Everybody knows Marner, Matthews. They have a great offense. There's a nice sentimental story here. Joe Thornton, it's probably his last year in the NHL. If somehow the Toronto Maple Leafs could win a championship, it would be a great ride into the sunset for Joe Thornton. On the other side, Montreal, listen, like I said, all the pressure's on Toronto. They have nothing to lose for. They started the season really well, and they've kind of lagged to the finish line. Now, Brandon Gallagher is coming back. He has been out since April 5th. But what this entire series comes down to on Montreal's side is Carey Price or Jake Allen, who plays and if they can be good. Carey Price has had injuries all season. Jake Allen, he's been decent, but is he a championship or even somebody that can get you past the first round goalie? I don't think so. So I hope that Carey Price, for Montreal's sake, starts in this series because I think that'll give them the better chance. But really, after 15 years, Toronto's going to win a series. They're going to do it in 6 games. This will be a hard-fought series, but we like Toronto to come out on top. Now, as I teased in the beginning, we are going to give you our Stanley Cup champions, but we're going to give you 2 because we like to bet on value. You could go Colorado. They're at like plus 425, but we like to look at one team from each side of the bracket that you could bet on and get some good value. On one side of the bracket, we're going to look at the Florida Panthers. They remind us a little bit of the Dallas Stars, a team that for years kind of were getting closer and closer, finally broke through into the playoffs, and last year they finally did a great job making it further and further. But it wasn't a COVID bubble, so I don't know how much we can put into stock for the Stars last year, but I'll tell you right now, Florida Panthers have been doing that. They've been getting better and better and better each year. They're a 2 seed. If they win their first round this year, they will take on Carolina or Nashville, most likely Carolina. And Carolina isn't a dynamic team. We think they might be able to squeak by and make a name for themselves this year. They're at 16 to 18 to 1. That's good value on a team that's physical, can score some goals, and has decent goaltending in Bobrovsky. So the other team on the other side of the bracket that we're going to look at is Edmonton. Now, like I mentioned, they don't have much depth. That's our concern. And Mike Smith is not a great goalie to stand on. But I'll tell you this, they're at 16 to 18 to 1 as well. And I'm going to let you know that's great value when you have guys named Draisaitl and McDavid. Anything can happen. And I think Edmonton is another team that's been waiting to break out. I like Edmonton. I like Florida. I don't like the favorites here in the NHL to go far. I think Colorado has some issues. I think Toronto has some issues. I don't trust Carolina. And even though I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, I just don't trust them. So go with Florida, go with Edmonton, lock it in. And just a quick recap for all of our first round predictions. You got Washington over the Bruins in 6. You got Pittsburgh over the Islanders in 7. Minnesota over Vegas in 7. You have Florida over the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7. Carolina over Nashville in 6. Colorado over St. Louis in 6. Edmonton over the Jets in 5. And Toronto, after 15 years, finally gets off that pressure and wins against Montreal in 6. So, hey, NHL, that's it. It's a lot. 8 series. They start today, Saturday, May 15th. The last one starts on Thursday, 6 days from now. That's Toronto and Montreal. We look forward to giving you the next round prediction soon. But hey, sit back, relax, smash the like button if you love NHL playoffs. And as always, sit back, let us do the work while you do the winning.